I wanted to start off with you because I feel like you have a lot to say. Let's try to keep this under a 2 hour rant if
Yeah,
possible.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely no longer than 5 hours.
sure,
Um,
but go off, daddy ass.
well, no, it's just this is gonna be like a therapy session for us, because we both really love wrestling, and Vince hates even the word wrestling.
Hmm.
I did want to add that he did just release a statement, literally like a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I saw.
He's back. Like this isn't. He might be back. This isn't. He's on his way. Like it's happened. It's happened. He's back. Um, this sucks. Like this totally sucks. I want to get one thing off my chest right away. I don't believe for 1 second that he's going to sell the company. I
Really?
think I think this whole strategy is to find a way back in by saying you can't sell the company without me. And if you let me back in, then I'll help you sell. I don't know why anyone would trust anything Vince McMahon says. And to me, this really feels like what's that saying? Like the wolf is in the hen house.
Sure. Or the
And
Fox.
once you let him back in, all of a sudden I feel like he's gonna be like, I don't really want to sell the company. And like, now that I think about it, WrestleMania is coming up. Like, I
Hmm.
kind of want to book that. Like, I kind of
His
miss
last
the
one.
creative side.
His last one before he sells, potentially or not. Psych.
Dude, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they're not selling the company. Like, they would have sold it without him if they could have. And if like when he's
Well,
back, he's not gonna sell it. Like, there's gonna be some report that like all of a sudden Vince McMahon is contemplating not selling WWE. Like, I just for anyone that thinks that this is him coming back just to help them sell his baby,
sure.
no, I don't want to say there's like a 0% chance because I never thought he would leave in the first place. But
Right.
this just feels like such like I just feel like I'm seeing right through it. Like he's not selling the company. He's using it as a way to get back. And then once he's back, that's it. Like everyone he doesn't like is getting fired. Triple H is out. Stephanie's gonna get fired again.
Yeah.
Nick Khan, I don't really know because he negotiated most of those TV deals.
But he took
And
over one of
so,
the positions that George Barrios and Michelle had. I think that's her name, Michelle. I'm pretty sure that's the position he had. He took from one of
uh,
them, and he's putting both of those people back in power.
yeah, and I
So,
guess we should mention that because those three people are coming back, that means three people on the board of directors will be leaving,
hmm,
aka sort of low key getting fired.
yeah.
Which is pretty much what Vince McMahon does most of the time is just fucking fire people. Hopefully, we're outside of the 15-second mark. That YouTube doesn't send the SWAT agents to my
Hey,
house.
hey, we're active on Spotify, and we should be on Amazon someday.
And overall, man, like it's just it sucks. It just sucks. Like I I think I recorded the Vince McMahon stepping down episode
Yes, you did.
solo, and I listened to that episode a couple times, and like and we talked about it so much. Like we were so excited for the future because we love wrestling. Like we
Hmm.
love watching wrestling. We just watched Osprey versus Omega, which, it like and Vince McMahon hates wrestling. And we were finally getting to see our dream, which was Triple H leading WWE.
Hmm.
And it was going pretty well. And, he still kind of had to deal with some of the stuff Vince had saddled him with, like a Universal Championship. But all things considered, I thought Triple H was doing a pretty good job. Like he was making me care again.
Right.
And it just, I mean, I talked about this briefly beforehand, but like it to me right now, I feel like I should already stop caring.
Yeah. You
Like,
mentioned it during our sad
yeah, like
messages
he's
exchange.
coming back, and like, I like do not think for 1 second if Vince could book Roman versus Brock Lesnar again, he would do it right now. Like he would set that Mania matchup. Brock Lesnar will come in, win the Royal Rumble, Roman Brock again. Like it feels like, when we had Black and Gold NXT, and like you see this a lot with AEW, when there's not like crazy injuries and shit,
Hmm.
um, that your devotion is rewarded, to, watching every week, or, paying attention and like checking out good TV matches and watching the pay-per-views. And it never felt that way with main roster WWE, because like you'd invest, a year into Johnny Gargano and NXT and like winning the title and all
He's
that, or
gonna
like
get fired.
Shinsuke. Yeah, like Shinsuke, Bobby Roode, and then they get to the main roster, and they're just totally ruined. Like there's no other way to say it.
To be fair, I
When
mean
they
Johnny's kind of
call,
getting ruined right now. So
dude, okay, but they called up Johnny Gargano in the middle of his blood feud
yeah,
with Tommaso Ciampa and had them tag team together.
yes, because Vince is an idiot.
It just he's I right now I'm trying to grapple with the fact that like he's going to take over creative again.
Of
I don't know if it's
course.
gonna happen. I don't know if it's gonna happen right away, but it's gonna happen. Like it's
Yeah.
Vince McMahon.
Yeah. He
It's
created this.
Vince McMahon.
He's the reason the territories died. His father is the one that created WWE and created the relationship, but it's Vince that killed the relationship. So that's a
Yeah.
history lesson for some people. If I'm a bit off or wrong, please correct me, anyone out there, even you, Chris. Um, but that's how I remember it, and that's how what everyone says. It's not something that's highly talked about because we hold, well, the old timers and even us, because we grew up watching WWE, we hold a lot of what WWE did to a high standard and to a lot of nostalgia and to a lot of good memories, even though there was, looking back at it, a lot of troublesome things that should never have been allowed. Like Vince saying the N word. Yes, that's a thing that happened. You can find that.
Yeah.
And Crime Time, a gimmick that he approved. So
Yeah. Chavo Guerrero being whitewashed.
JBL
Um,
hunting Mexicans at the border, that was a thing.
yeah.
All right, so
That's the guy who's coming back, by the way. That's the guy. That Vince McMahon, like,
Italian naming him Mahad Hassan or whatever. The
yeah,
terrorist,
it's
basically the terrorist. Look,
yeah, the guy
point
who
is
wasn't even Middle Eastern, but
exactly. Look, the point is, I get it. We hold to a high standard, but this man is capable of creating mayhem where he goes because, and this is what's happening now. You know, he finagled his way into essentially stopping the Indies back in the day, their version of the Indies, which were the territories, was called the territories. And now he's finding a way to potentially sell off his baby or run it to the ground because he thinks he can run it better, which I've already told you it's all ego because he doesn't realize there's potential that if he does return to power and he doesn't sell and he returns to creative, the stock is going to plummet. I hope it does, at least for
oh yeah, for sure.
our viewing sake. It does, so he can wake up and leave and realize, all right, I know what's good for business. Um, so yeah, I like. I'm not happy, but I'm not surprised either
Yeah.
because when they first announced he was plotting his returns, like, oh, and I heard that he was majority holder. I'm like, oh, so there's always going to be a chance that he could just say, you know what, I'm coming back. It just happened sooner rather than later. So I always like kept in the back of my head, this guy can come back. And once they reported, oh, because he is majority, he is going to use his shares to elect himself back as the head of basically of the company, then yeah, like there was never any doubt he was going to come back now, and it's pretty much confirmed that he will be coming back, which is outrageous. It's crazy, and if he is, I said it. I already commented on Wrestle Talks post. Um, Look, if he's just coming back to sell, wonderful, great. But there's the argument being made that you've made elegantly and excellently because of who he is. He's gonna say, you know what? I don't feel like selling. In
I
fact,
mean,
I'm gonna be. I want to do creative. In fact,
I'm
the Royal
trying to
Rumbles.
prepare, like I'm trying to prepare myself and
I told
you
you.
and
I told
just
you.
it's it's because of who it is.
Yeah, of course.
Like this is a vicious businessman who only cares about himself.
And his vision.
That is it. Like it is, you know, Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez always used to joke about this, but it's an audience of one.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Vince. It's whatever he wants. Like he would surround himself with yes men,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically what he's doing right now. Like he's already showing you who he is. Like when someone shows you who they really are, believe them. He's bringing back two yes
Mm-hmm.
people so that and he's going to replace three people who probably were going to say no. He's just going to kick them out and then he's going to have the votes and it's we're basically just headed back to the dark ages, man. I don't know how else to say it. Like because of the way he's handling this and like literally like Chopper said on the Wrestle Talk
Yeah.
reaction of like he's holding his own company hostage
Yeah.
so that he can come back. And if anyone thinks he's doing that so that he can come back just to flip the company and sell it to like Disney or NBC or whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
no, like this guy would rather burn the company into the ground than sell it. And like the thing that's so frustrating is like if this scandal was not enough to get him away from the company, he's taken it to the grave.
Yeah.
Like this was like I remember when this story broke and we were like this is our only chance to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Like he's never going to retire. I am so skeptical that he would ever sell the company because he's 77. What is like, why would you sell it for what? You're like 80 years old. What are you
Yeah.
going to do with the money? Like, you don't need to sell it. Like, this is his baby. He'd probably rather just run it till he's, till he literally can't do it anymore. And I just, I, look, I didn't think he would ever step away from WWE in the first place. So maybe there's a tiny chance that he really does stick to what he said he's going to do, which is come back, negotiate some contracts, and then, in all like the business vocabulary, like basically sell the company.
Yeah.
I just, it's so hard for me to see a scenario where Vince McMahon sells the only thing he's known for. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is so important to him that he couldn't even stay away for what was he gone for like 6 months? And he's like shoehorning his way back in by holding the company hostage and saying without me nothing's gonna happen. Like I just oh it's only the only reason this is really frustrating is because I know the creative thing it's probably gonna happen. Like I
Yeah.
know it's probably gonna happen. And we were so excited for the Rumble. We were so excited for Mania, like WrestleMania without Vince McMahon, like Triple H
Yeah.
booking the show. We almost made it, man. We
We
almost
almost made it. He's gonna fire everybody, I hope. Just
I mean, it's Vince McMahon, so like, yeah, probably. That's pretty much what he does. He just like he fires people who he thinks are not or who may or may not agree with the way he does things and then he brings in
yeah.
people who say yes. Like maybe the only person he's not going to be able to bring back is John Laurinaitis, but like pretty much he's just going to fill up like as many roles as he can with people who are going to like agree with whatever he says. It feels like it's just going to go back to how it was where we like don't watch Raw and SmackDown and like all the pay-per-views suck and like every once in a while you get a halfway decent match on a pay-per-view. Like yeah, man. I said it to you in our chat, but like, it just feels like a gut punch, dude.
Yeah.
Like I love wrestling. The last few months in WWE with the bloodline stuff, and then Dominic Mysterio going to jail for like 10 hours and coming out with a teardrop tattoo under his eye and saying prison changes a man. Like we were headed in such a good direction. And not all of it was perfect, obviously, but like it had only been a few months. Like you got to give
Hmm.
Triple H time.
Yeah, of course.
He was going to bring back the draft, like he was going to split up the titles again. And I mean, as soon as Vince is back, none of that shit is happening unless he says so.
Yep.
Like it's Vince McMahon. It's not a random person coming back. It's the guy who ran the fucking company forever. Like built the whole company around the shit he wanted. So like if anyone thinks that like when Vince McMahon walks through that door that he's gonna be like, oh yeah, go ahead, book whatever WrestleMania matches you want, like make whoever the champ. I don't care who the champion is. Like, no, of course he's gonna give a shit. Like, it's all gonna run through Vince, just like it used to. And when it
Mm-hmm.
ran through Vince, he ran that shit into the ground, and WWE fucking sucked.
Oh
And it
God,
just, it's
so bad.
ah, it just sucks. I don't know how else to describe it. This sucks, dude.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I have other things that I care about, and I'm trying to focus on that, and I'm
Yeah, of
happy
course,
that's helping me.
of course.
But this is hearing it in you and just seeing everybody's reactions and the angry reactions, and it sucks. It really does suck for all people who are watching this play out live in real time in the real world. And it just sucks that we had a good run, a mini brief run,
Yeah,
and it's potentially going to come to an end. Um,
yeah.
I'm willing to bet that it is going to come to an end. We shouldn't hold our breath. We should keep our expectations very low. That yeah, this isn't gonna end well. Creative is gonna suck if he
I,
goes back. But there's every chance and every possibility that he does go back to being
I think
in
that
charge of creative.
like what you're saying about like other interests, like to me, I had become very used to not paying attention to WWE.
Oh yeah,
So when Vince is officially back and they make that announcement, probably like what, next week, I mean it
I
might
hope it
happen
gets
tomorrow
booed.
at this rate. um I don't like it's not going to be a loss from the sense of like I spent the last several years like literally only paying attention to like
Yeah.
the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. So going back to only caring like twice a year is like whatever, I'm not going to get invested in anything because he doesn't believe
Hmm.
in long-term storytelling anyway, which is most of the stuff Triple H has been doing is long-term storytelling. But it's just going to suck from the standpoint of like we finally got it back, you know, and it was cool to have that back in our lives again, and like caring about the pay-per-views like Clash at the Castle, Survivor Series, Extreme Rules. Like there were so many, like SummerSlam, the first pay-per-view
Hmm.
without Vince and Brock Lesnar fucking lifting up the ring with a tractor or whatever. Like there were so many cool things that were happening. And I was like, oh man, I missed this. Like I missed caring about WWE. Like this is cool. Like I love wrestling. I love the more wrestling, the better. Like the more options, the better.
Hmm.
And I remember for so long, like somebody would, get totally ruined by Vince McMahon, and we'd be like, oh my god, fucking hope this person goes to AEW. Keith Lee, Aleister Black, like all of them. We were like, Adam Cole,
Yeah.
please go to AEW. That's your only chance at being saved. And then we had kind of reached a point where we were like, I hope this person goes back to WWE. Like Triple H is gonna know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god,
Exactly.
imagine this person, but with Triple H. Oh boy, like that's where we were at, and like it was just really cool to be there. Like to be
Yeah.
in a place where one company didn't just fucking suck.
Sucks.
Like it, and the competition was good. Like I feel like it was pushing AEW to like push their own guys a little bit more, because Triple H was starting to sign all of his own guys back,
Hmm.
and it was creating more diversity, like Sasha Banks, now Mercedes Moné. going to New Japan, and like Shinsuke facing Muda, and like Carl Anderson was at Wrestle Kingdom. Like I feel like nobody even talks about the fact that Carl Anderson, who's currently under contract,
Yep.
was at Wrestle Kingdom defending his title. Like,
Don't tell Vince. He might fire them again.
yeah, I mean, it's going to go back to a company that just doesn't play with others, which it felt like we were finally starting to get away from. Like Triple H and HBK had all these plans for uh, NXT Europe, which is probably just not going to happen now.
Right.
I don't see why it would. Um, you're obviously, if you're trying to sell the company, you're not going to start investing money in a global expansion to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, overall, it's just the feeling setting in of like that thing that that we bonded over when we were kids. Like we loved, Rey Mysterio and Batista and The Undertaker, Ric Flair, HBK, Triple H, all these guys. Like that was part of our friendship.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucked when it started to go to shit, and we were like, yeah, WWE is kind of like trash now, isn't it? Like it's like
Yep.
Roman Reigns just pinning everyone, which now is cool. But when Vince was booking it, he just didn't know what the fuck he was doing. And then it was cool to get it back. Because it was like, oh man, like like it, reminded me of the NXT days. I was like, fuck, man, I missed this. Like I missed like this, like letting like WWE has such a great roster, and like letting these guys go out there, and like
Yeah.
Walter and Sheamus under Vince McMahon would literally never happen ever. Many people's match of the year would never have happened if Vince McMahon was still running the company, and it just it sucks because I'm trying to prepare myself for the very like true possible reality of things going back to how they were, which was basically unwatchable. Like
Yeah.
Raw and SmackDown were 3 to 5 minute matches, fucking 24/7 championship titles, and so much stupid shit on those shows, all because one guy in the back thought it was the funniest thing in the world. I just, yeah, I guess we're gonna go back to how it was, where when Vince McMahon ruins Carmelo Hayes or Braun Breaker, we're gonna be like, hey, hopefully Tony Khan can save these guys, or maybe they'll go to New Japan. Like,
Yeah.
that wasn't that
TNA
wasn't
or Impact.
fun. Like
It
seeing these guys
wasn't.
get screwed, and then having to pray that they like got fired or got out of their contracts so that they could go to a real company that would let them actually wrestle.
Yeah.
And I didn't enjoy that, but it was like, man, these guys, so many talented performers were trapped. They were like trapped working for this guy that hates wrestling.
Hates the word.
And yeah, I mean, you seem to be taking this somewhat well. Maybe you'll start to crack a bit more once the official announcement
I think
comes.
so. I think so.
But
I
I'm
mean,
already
but I've
there.
I've accepted it. Like, cause I like I
Yeah,
told you, I already knew when I found out he was my Jordan. Not today, not when, cause he said it before when when it came out that the report he's planning his way back. At
yeah,
first initial report that happened like what, November, October? I think it was even November. I don't know. It wasn't too long ago. It happened right before the end of the year. And I found out, and the report said, and now it's been confirmed, even though I already kind of already believed it. I definitely believe that he was a majority stakes owner. He was a majority holder for the company. I'm like, oh, he could just elect himself, and that's what he's doing. And I should
yeah.
have probably mentioned that in like in a previous podcast or whatever, but I don't know. We never talk. I guess yeah, we didn't talk about that, like about Vince McMahon potentially coming back. I think we skipped over that because we were like, yeah, we brushed it off.
I really thought he was fucked. I really thought he was fucked. I was like, there's no way he's gonna be able to fucking weasel his way out of this one. These are like massively serious accusations, that things that actually happened. They weren't
Yeah.
accusations. And I don't know how else to phrase it other than I really thought he was fucked. I was like, I know it's Vince McMahon, but he's not getting out of this one. Like,
I guess so. I mean, the only other way is like they vote to stop him, the board or whatever. I don't know. There is like I think there's still one process he has to get through. They could just say no, we'll contact you and we'll put you in power when we need to sell. We're not selling right now. But then again, I think that would contradict the whole idea of him trying to get back because he has the power to get back and sell the company because he is the majority stakeholder, the majority owner of
Yeah.
all stocks because his say is the final say. It's like
So
that. Remember that scene in Yu-Gi-Oh? When Seto and Mokuba also had stakes in the in Kaiba Industries,
yeah,
and Seto like try to get it from his dad, and he was like a few short, and then Mokuba just gave all his shares and votes to Kaiba, so that way he
yeah,
overthrew his dad. So like, I need something to happen like that.
yeah. I mean, in just to, I guess, just to play my own devil's advocate, even though I currently feel like there is no saving us. Um, Hypothetically speaking, I suppose there is a 0.00001% chance
Hmm.
where Vince comes back and immediately sells the company.
Yeah,
And,
that could
there were
that could happen.
rumors like over the years, like NBC, Disney, I think Fox at one point.
Disney for sure.
Um, I guess there's a small possibility that that exact scenario happens. Which, who knows? When companies get sold, like I highly doubt there is somebody worse for the WWE than Vince McMahon, but maybe the person, whoever buys it is like, you know what, fuck Triple H, like get Stephanie out of here. Like I don't know these people. Like I'm gonna bring back all these guys that I watched when I was a kid. Like get almost back on get almost back on Raw. I don't know.
Mm.
It feels like the thing that's going to happen is he's going to come back. He's lying about selling the company. He's using it to get back into power. Then he's going to get back into power. Coincidentally, what are the odds? WrestleMania is a few months away. And look at that. The Royal Rumble is just a couple of weeks away. And it just feels like
Perfect timing.
it's
It's perfect timing. What do you mean?
it's
We
moving so fast that it's hard to not envision it speeding up even more. And then by, I don't know, 2 weeks from now, he's back in charge of creative and everyone's fired. And like, because it's Vince, like when Triple H got in charge, he didn't blow it all up, even though people were like, change the sets, strip all the titles, like draft everybody, start over. Vince would probably do that. Like, he'd be like, you know what? Fuck this. Austin Theory, Money in the Bank briefcase is back on him. Like, it just, because when Vince was in charge, none of it had to make sense. Like when Triple H is running things like he's trying to make it make sense, it doesn't
yeah.
always line up. But when Vince McMahon was running shit, he was like, I don't give a shit if it makes sense. Like, whatever. Like, fuck these fans. Like, that's basically the way he treated it. It was like, fuck these people who spend their money and like pay my bills. Like, fuck all these people. I can't even like it's so hard for me to even entertain the possibility that he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
It's just so hard because he's such a dickhead. And
Maybe his shirt retirement has changed him and said maybe this is for the better. But as I told you, I think he's sitting at home and actually tuning in because he's so bored and
oh, for sure.
or he's just busy working out and watching like the rerun
Oh yeah,
and
he no, he's watching 100%.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he's just angry that Sami Zayn is getting over now. Now that he'll be back in power, either he'll do it immediately, and my bet is that it'll be immediate. He'll screw up the
Yeah.
bloodline storyline, ruin Sammy, and he'll be fired after Mania.
If there's one thing that Vince McMahon hates, hates with every fiber of his being, it is anything that gets over that wasn't his idea.
Yep, exactly.
Sami Zayn will get
Like
kicked out of the
Ryder.
bloodline by like next week if Vince is back.
Yeah, if he's truly back in power this week and then he gives himself creative control, but by the end of this week, Sami Zayn is done. That's my big prediction. After I had a prediction that Seth Rollins would be at Wrestle Kingdom, and that didn't happen, but that's okay. And I said Cody Rhodes would win the Royal Rumbles, and I don't think that'll happen because Vince is a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's so crazy because like the only
Also, Sammy.
person that I think is legitimately safe is probably Cody because Vince is the one that brought him back.
Yeah, maybe.
I think he would have been booked better under Triple H because Triple H is just better at booking,
Hmm.
and Vince is one of the worst bookers in the world
Right
at his
now, yeah.
current age. Like there were definitely some matches back in the day that were like phenomenally
Yeah.
well done. But Vince is almost 80 years old and he just lost his fucking mind over the last several years. Like I don't know how else to phrase it. Like
Yeah.
he was not good at his job anymore.
It's been Brock and Roman.
Yeah.
How many times he booked it? He said what for the last time for WrestleMania, and then Psych Wrestle, and then it became SummerSlam. And the only reason it didn't change is because Triple H wanted to be a good son-in-law and honor that.
Yeah. Match
But
was already booked, I guess.
yeah,
I think by that point. And then
exactly. No, exactly. And he
yeah, he was
wasn't
like, I'm
gonna.
not gonna change the main event.
I'm not gonna change anything honestly from SummerSlam other than that he brought back Dakota Kai and he called up Io Shirai, but for whatever reason changed it to Io Sky. But we won't get into that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we had a good run.
we had a good run, my friend.
Had a good run. You know what? Let's end on a positive note here,
Sure,
guys.
sure.
We sort of an in memoriam for the best 6 months of WWE for the over the last like 10 years.
Hmm.
Uh Sheamus versus Walter. Incredible. Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn in the Bloodline story. Some of the we were sending each other those clips like back and forth every week, like so many just great moments from the Bloodline story that even when after Vince ruins the whole thing, I will still look back on the last like 6 months of the Bloodline and just be like, my God, that was so much fun. Um,
Yeah,
we got War Games, main roster War Games match.
yeah. Not
Two of
even.
them. That was
Yeah,
pretty sick.
yeah,
We got AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. We're allowed to actually wrestle each other on purpose, not a last minute change because Bray Wyatt got sick or whatever it was
yeah.
a few years ago.
Lupus or something.
The Judgment Day, which was like one of the most annoying factions when Vince was booking it, was becoming one of my favorite parts of Raw because Dominic Mysterio was like on his way to becoming the Raw version of Sami Zayn. Just
Yeah,
so ridiculous.
mommy,
Uh, yeah. Oh my God. Just
mommy, bail me out.
yeah. There were all of honestly, I gotta say, like I was skeptical of the U.S. title being like the main Raw championship,
Basically.
but get all things considered, I think it kind of worked. Like,
No, it worked out. He salvaged Austin Theory. He was better.
yeah,
It was shitty how he lost the briefcase, but he shouldn't have had it. He was never
right.
gonna beat
It's
Brock.
like like fixing a shitty decision with another shitty decision. It's like, well, the first decision was so stupid that like doesn't really even matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know about you, but the U.S. title has felt like pretty legit. Like, it's
Even the IC title, man. Fucking Walter
yeah,
having banger of matches.
yeah. They had like a whole World Cup tournament on
It's
SmackDown.
relevant again. The mid card titles are relevant again.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
NXT got better again.
Dude, yeah,
Yeah.
NXT. Oh man. Yeah, black and gold NXT got rid of that fucking stupid rainbow color shit
Tie
that they
dye.
were using. Uh yeah. Yeah, there were some pretty good highlights.
Yeah.
So on the bright side, at least we got all that stuff. At least I think the worst case scenario would have been that the Triple H era was actually terrible. Like we
Hmm.
had all wanted it for so long, and then like if he had taken over and it sucked, then we were really would have felt so hopeless of like, oh my God, like there's no
Yeah.
saving this company.
Yeah.
But when he did take over for those last several months, it was pretty good. Like all of a sudden it was like I kind of cared about like checking out like the reviews of Raw and like what happened at SmackDown and like checking out certain matches. And I guess there's always going to be that little bit of faith that someday we will get it back.
Eh.
And there's even a tinier, microscopically small amount of faith that Triple H is allowed to remain in control. Vince McMahon doesn't want anything to do with creative, and we are allowed to live out the rest of the Triple H era, which hopefully just goes on for the rest of our lives because it's been pretty good so far.
Amen to that, brother. He's gonna put Hulk Hogan in
Hulk
control
Hogan's going to become the Universal Champion.
or something. I don't know. Uh, well, I have nothing else to say, man. I really wanted to do this for you.
Thank
Let
you,
this be a therapy session.
my therapist. Yeah.
You're welcome. All right, now you need to give me some sessions later, man, for free.
Ah,
But I think that's gonna be it for now. I want to know what the public has to say. I'll be posting this on my Instagram. You should share it too, Chris, and see what people say. Are you excited to see Vince McMahon getting back? The answer, like Pete said, is no. It should be
yeah.
no.
If yeah, there's only one answer to that yes or no question, and it's no.
Opinions matter, but this one does not, and your opinion is wrong.
Yeah, everyone
Okay.
is entitled to their opinion, but if your opinion is that you're excited, then you're wrong and stupid.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess with that, don't be sad because it's over. Be happy because it happened. Something like that. Some bullshit like
yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
All right.
It's now I was gonna say it's bittersweet, but that would infer that something good is coming. But
Exactly.
it's like eating a shit sandwich.
Exactly.
But you know what it is? It's like you just finished a really, really good dinner.
Hmm.
And then the person's like, "Oh my God, are you ready for dessert? Because dessert is going to be so awesome." And then they bring out a steaming shit sandwich, and they're like, "Here you go."
Steaming shit cake.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, you thought you had a choice about eating this? No, no, I'm just gonna shove it into your fucking
Hmm.
face."
Yep.
And
Because you need this.
yeah,
I
because
need
I know what's
this.
best. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Triple H. F's in the chat. We don't have a
Thank you
chat,
for
but
your service, sir. It's been an
thank
honor.
you, honor. Thank you. This is really
Uh,
happening. All right. Enough sadness. Let's end on a positivity note. And that's by saying thank you, beautiful people, for listening and tuning in. It's been 2 out of 3 uh, amigos tonight, only because it's kind of an emergency situation and we really wanted to
yeah,
vent. Mainly Chris. I've accepted it a long time ago
yeah.
that there was a chance this was going to happen, and it's happening. It's here. And let's see where it goes. Maybe there's some optimism to be hoped, but maybe not. But that's going to do it for now. Beautiful people. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.